Fendi Prada.
Basic bitches don't want nothing.
Something gotta.
What's wrong with the sound?
No sound.
There's something wrong with this.
Let's do it myself.
Do.
Where's the sound?
I think it's not there.
Making your money is you.
All right. Well, maybe someone heard that. I don't think anybody heard that. Maybe I hope they heard us. I hope they heard us trying to figure out why there's no audio to the intro music.
Where'd the sound go? That was atypical. You know what? We blame
Whatever.
that. You know what?
We are now experiencing technical difficulties, but the episode is live.
Live. You guys know who we are. You know, I'm the host that talks first, D.
I am the host that talks other times, Dr. Corey Petty.
And I'm the third host, Jessie Broke.
Yeah.
Up, we're doing a double episode this week.
We are, man.
You know, because we can.
So you're welcome to everyone listening. This has been the best week of your life. So that's so rude when I do stuff like that. I'm sorry. It is. It's like implying that their life isn't good until we're in it. You know.
Do you have a commercial about asking people? Why don't we just play it? Play the commercial.
Are you working in a job that sucks balls? Does your job suck and ergo your life? Do you want to change that because your life is sucking? Join the TBP Slack. Get a better job.
I like the chicken suit pants just kicking around in her apartment. Clearly her life
times. That's a good clip because her life does look like it's not going too well.
She's like, my life is boring.
Yeah, she looks like an unexciting version of Ripley from Aliens. Like if she didn't have the alien adventures, she just worked the other corporate job. You know. Anyways, That was a nerdy reference. So the Bitcoin podcast, for those of you that are new to the Bitcoin podcast, we talk about all things crypto, baby. We've been doing this for years. So you need to get on board with this shit. We've been doing it for years. Today, we're going to be discussing token distributions and what it does for a community, right?
Community.
The community.
How about it? How do you want to start this? Where do you want to go? I can take it. I can take it from a bunch of different perspectives.
So the first perspective, let's go Eiffel Tower on this. You go from the front. I'll go from the back.
Whoa!
Wow!
What? No. That's not what I'm talking because on an Eiffel Tower, you have to build from the front-facing side of it.
Wow!
Oh man!
So then I should go from the front.
Sure, go ahead. Take it up. Take it to the top.
So, token distribution means there is. So first, the word distribution means. Why is that up there? Why is that continuous? Oh, for token. I got it. Token. I get it. We're on there now. So say you got 1 million people, right? A distribution would say certain proportions, certain rations of that 1 million people have a certain amount of the things that you're giving them. So if there's 1 million people and you've got 5 million tokens, then it was an even distribution, totally egalitarian. We know that's not reality, but if every one of those 1 million people got the same amount of tokens, then you'd have 5 million tokens divided by 1 million people. Each person would get 5 tokens. It would be distributed evenly. If you had a normal distribution of tokens in that 1 million people, I believe somewhere around 86% of the people would lie between, what is it, Corey?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's a normal distribution. For those of you that know normal distributions, there's the bell curve. That's the normal distribution. And naturally, there would be a large group of people that would have the most, but everyone would come around the median of what it was, So that's distribution, and that affects a community, and it affects the tokenomics which exist inside of that community.
Why does it affect? Here's a question immediately after what you just said. Why does it affect the token economics of that community?
So I'll step out of crypto for a second. I'll step into GPP land. Right now, there's a wealth distribution crisis in which the top 1% wealthy on the planet own way, way, way more than 50%.
Those people at the top corner.
Those guys up there. One of those is Elon Musk, and one of them is Jeff Bezos, and this other one here is Warren
the guy
Buffett.
You've never heard of that pulls strings.
Yeah. And so since they have so much of the distribution of wealth in USD, and I guess in GPP land, they get to make decisions and live in a world that nobody else gets to, and do things that nobody else gets to do, and make laws and change laws and give all sorts of fuck yous to the rest of the community with which they live in and directly benefit from. Now let's take that into the crypto world. There's a little bit more nuance, because sometimes these tokens have weight. And when I say weight, they have like decision-making weight. They have value, which kind of implicitly turns someone into the Jeff Bezos of their community. If they're the one that has 95% of the tokens, then they're the one that decides what the hell happens in that community, right? So that is how they affect things, Corey. They basically are. They show who are the deciders, who gets to.
Why?
Well, I think it also kind of depends. Like, it depends on if it's a governance token or if it's just not a governance token. If it's a governance token, a token implying that if you're the holder of the token, you get to have an effect on how that network changes and adapts. Then if you have 90% of the governance, then it's basically a U token. It's like
that's a good way to put it.
This is my token.
Thank you, 10%, for telling me what you want, but I don't care, because I'm going to do what I want with the 90% that I own.
Absolutely.
Or control or influence.
And so this is, I think, governance and stuff is not a new conversation, but it's much more mature now that
I would argue the new part to why we talk about governance tokens and in crypto, or like governance being an aspect of what you can do with the cryptocurrency, is that it directly ties both the value with the governance, as opposed to this implicit tie that you have in GPP land, right? So like right now, like the ultra rich have a tremendous influence on governance through lobbying, through funding companies that, that do their will. And so like a lot of that kind of influence and on how things get done is a few degrees of separation from directly from their money, right? You assume they have power because they have money, but it's not a direct thing. It's not like, oh, he has $1 million. That's explicitly this power in this particular governance process. And what you're seeing with these cryptocurrencies, some of them, is that voting for particular decisions is directly, like the weight of an individual's vote is directly influenced by the amount of tokens that they hold in that community, right? And this is where like quadratic voting has come in. And so like what's interesting about that is that you can set up rules with the smart contracts defining exactly what that weight is, which changes how a particular distribution affects the outcome of a vote based on what you think is interesting. So right now, say if you had a 1-to-1 mapping, your weight of a vote is directly linked to your weight in what your relative holding of that cryptocurrency is. If I have 50% of the token supply, my weight in a vote is literally 50% of that decision, right? That's a 1-to-1 mapping of value to my weight in a governance decision. Does that make sense? first?
It actually does make sense, Corey. I
Right.
also like to. I was going to show people a video of quadratic voting, but
you have a video of quadratic voting set up?
I do. I just had it pulled up, ready to go. I've prepared.
Well, let me get to quadratic voting first before you give the video. Right?
Sounds like a plan.
So the idea, and this is just one example of how you change that mapping from the amount of tokens that you own towards your and what weight you have in a given decision. Okay. Cue it up. Radical change. Look at this guy. And so the idea of quadratic voting, which you're probably about to see, is you're changing that mapping to lean the power more towards the group of people who don't have all the money. So the weight of your vote is the square root of how much you have, right? So that means that the less you have, the more relative power it is. One vote, the square root of 1 is 1, right? Square root of 9 is 3. And so if I vote with 1 token, it's only 1/3. It's only 1/3 of the power of someone who has 9 times more than me. Instead of it being 1/9 the power of that. So it limits the power of the ultra rich. And since most token distributions, if you look at most token distributions by far, and this is across the board with like most value, any fiat currencies, any gold things, it's usually pooled into small amounts of people have the overwhelming majority of value in any given community, more often than not, right? Yeah. That means that more often than not, a small amount of people are making most of the decisions on behalf of everyone else. And so the idea of quadratic voting is to kind of take that gap and minimize it a little bit so that the ultra rich don't have as much power, and the large amount of people, the commons is what they're called in some cases, have more power. And so you're capturing a lot of what they want versus like just delegating to a few people who decide on behalf of them. So go ahead with the video.
Yeah. I have some interesting like philosophical things and I'd like to dabble into. But let's watch this video. It's a video. It's called Video Explanation of Quadratic Voting and Quadratic Funding by John Clark. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a copyright strike for this or whatever YouTube does. Don't really give a fuck. We just want to give you guys information. So here we go.
We'll see.
About political exchange and in particular,
it's really low. Turn it up.
Can you turn it up?
Finance, and we're going to jump straight into it and unpack these.
Yeah, too low. Can't hear it.
Too low? Oh, let me try something.
Turn up system volume.
Reimagining the building blocks of democracy.
Yeah, I don't know where my little
in order to uphold fairness, plurality, and
volume thing.
You're learning with us.
In a rapidly changing world. And if we look at these building blocks we're talking about, bam, 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 bam.
You should pause it.
As you can see, these are quadratic building
blocks. That's good.
Yeah,
all the way up.
Video today, and that is quadratic voting.
Sorry, guys.
No, just play. Yeah. I need to keep going.
Quadratic finance. So without further ado, let's get into quadratic. And when you think of quadratic, alarm bells might be going off in your head. You might be thinking back to school and seeing visions of these equations and these graphs, being very perplexed and confused. But it's actually pretty simple and it's very cool and effective. So let's start off with quadratic voting. It essentially allows people to express the relative strength of their preferences in a democratic process.
I just wanted to stop right there and reflect on how easy it is to learn from someone with a delicate German accent. Is it not?
Is that German?
I'm pretty sure that's German.
I don't think it is.
Let's pray it. Let's keep listening.
I don't think it's German.
Might be thinking, so how does that work? So imagine we have 50 different proposals that exist, and you want to now express your preference of these different proposals. Well, we have this quadratic function, which you can actually see over here in the bottom. And essentially, what it maps to
South African
is for every number of voice
you
have,
the
root of that is the number of votes you actually get. So imagine I, John, have 100 voice credits. 1 voice credit is 1 vote. 4 voice credits are 2 votes, etc., etc. So if I cast 9 voice credits, the root of 9 is 3, and it will.
I've never seen this video. Turns out, same example I gave.
Quadratic voting works like that. Basically, no longer would 51 people who support a proposal but barely care about the issue outvote 49 incredibly passionate opponents, predictably making society worse in the process. So essentially, quadratic voting, on average, is the ideal way of allowing people to more and more impose their desires on the rest of society, but at an ever escalating cost. And people are more likely to vote strongly, not only about issues they care more about, but issues they know more about. And this is really the beauty of quadratic voting. So remember, in a nutshell, it allows people to express the relative strength of their preferences in a democratic process. Now, let's look at
we can cut it there.
Okay.
2 problems we offer.
Any questions there? I mean, like, how do you think that differentiated from my explanation of quadratic voting?
It didn't. I just wanted to use the cool, fancy production tools that we have and see if we could do it seamlessly.
Just to get banned from YouTube real quick. Cool.
No, I don't think this guy's gonna copyright strike us. I just took a look at his webpage. He looks like he's an educator. He's looking like, hey, my education's yours. Can you describe in square root of 100 words or less the square root of the Bitcoin? I see what you did there, yes, to crypto. And I think we can. I think we can do that. Do you want to do it right now?
Best crypto source alive.
Yeah. The Bitcoin podcast is infotainment for the masses.
Done.
Jessie, what do you got?
TBP is community.
I like it. I like it a lot. I wish we had like a hand clap. It's almost like we had a soundboard or something that could play noises with the push of a button.
If only we bought one of those and used it at every point.
No, that's actually what I'm trying to set up right now.
That's actually what Dee bought and never used for well, he used it for like 3 episodes and then he changed something on his computer and it never worked again. Then he said he was going to give it to Alicia and then he never did that either.
Oh my God.
Called out.
People are saying we need to clean up our rooms. And by our, I mean you, Mr. Petty, and you.
Talking about, I got a great room. This is great.
I just
look at my fireplace.
Just a jacket on the couch.
Yeah, my fireplace, and you got a little garden over here. You out of here. My room's fine.
They hate us. Whatever. We may be.
Anyway, actually, I don't care either. But like, I wanted to get back to the conversation of like, yeah, cool. Like, why does that matter? I think what's interesting about this is that crypto gives us the opportunity to see what a distribution is immediately. And so like you're able to have a better idea of what your relative weight is in a given community based on who has what percent of the tokens. And then if there is a governance model, if there is voting and token distribution has any influence on that voting, then you know where you stand in terms of your opinion automatically before you do it. And that's a really important thing that I don't think we have today. Like let's take for like voting, for instance, right? Most people are very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like defeated when it comes to governance voting, at least in America, or probably any national system. Because one, like I'm not really sure what weight my vote has in any given jurisdiction that I'm in.
Calm down with the extreme close-ups. Jesse's
just figured his camera out.
No. I'm binding a MIDI controller to everything now. This is gonna be awesome.
So that's very true, Corey. Like, I don't know the power of my vote in this system of the U.S. Well, I know the power of my vote if I'm voting in certain states. I might as well just be pissing on a wall. But, that sucks. Quadratic voting is a way of basically giving your voice more power.
No,
and
well, yeah. If you find yourself to have an amount of value in that community that's about like on average, you're like an average holder in that specific community, you're going to have more relative weight if they implement quadratic voting. If you are a whale in that community, you're going to have a lot less in terms of trying to assert your influence on that community. Those are two very distinctive things.
Yeah,
and crypto gives us the ability to do both at the same time. Like you could, it's not unreasonable to have multiple governance processes in any given community for blockchain. You can say like this vote happens to be governed by quadratic voting. This one's just a direct one-to-one mapping. But regardless of it all, I have the information to understand what my voting power does, and vote accordingly with whatever influence I have, or like try and gain the influence that I want in order to assert myself appropriately within that community. And once again, this is confined to a specific community. If I'm trying to make a governance decision on a DeFi DAO, it's usually constrained to that thing based on whatever holding I have for that thing. What's interesting about that, even more so, is that if I want to, I can move that value to a different community. But in the process of doing so, I lose my power in the previous one. How do I do that? I trade my tokens. I sell my tokens for a different token, and now I have power in a different community. But not because I copied it. I actually transfer it. And that's something that's like incredibly powerful that I don't think people understand yet.
Yeah,
I can take my influence from one community and I can move it to another one.
Yeah. And then that means like if you're a big shot, you're a big old fish in a medium-sized pond, and then all of a sudden one big fish from another pond jumps into your pond. Guess what, homie? 2 big fish now. You're a smaller fish, bro. You're a smaller fish. Well, you're the same size fish, but now
it's going to get a little crowded.
So it's gonna get crowded, right? Like, so it's kind of dope. It's really dope. This is why I love this, and why I like that crypto is actively experimenting with this new way to weigh votes and incentivize people to participate in communities. Because I think, hold on, let's throw this comment up here before I get to all my soapbox. Response: multiple governance. Yes, some things require different decision trees. Think expense management at a corporation or $1 million checks take different decision tree than $50 checks. That's very true. That's good for like distributed autonomous organizations.
Yeah, that's
very true.
It's an answer for like why would you have different governance processes for a given community?
Absolutely. My management team, they have a budget, and if something is bigger than a single transaction supposed to be, I get an email and I look at it and I'm like, hey, what's up with this? Why you need this big ass shit? Oh, I need it for this. All right, cool. Other than that, they can do whatever they want. So, now, what I was getting at was, I think humanity is an ever evolving thing, and so is society. Society is like this organically growing, always evolving. Where is that noise coming from? Does anybody else hear that noise?
That's me.
Yeah, it's not me.
This organically evolving thing with emergent properties that emerge depending upon what humanity is going through at the time. I think that in history, I'm about to red pill the fuck out of y'all. No, I'm playing. I think in history, maybe centralization was a good thing, but when it gets abused, then new properties emerge. And I think centralization, like kings, tribunals, like these huge central entities that guide people and guide large swaths of people. And religions is another one. Excuse me. But I think that what always ends up happening with those very singular centralized systems is that information and value and literally currency probably just get trapped in bubbles. They get trapped in these buckets, and then they don't move. And since they can't move and they're not agile, new systems come and kind of make whatever was going on irrelevant, right? Like England, they used to have king and queen. They ran the show. Now the Queen of England is basically like I don't know, like a postcard, like a walking postcard. Nobody really cares about her very much, except for people in England. And the parliament basically does all things and controls all money and controls all everything. So like if the queen were like, yeah, attack this random country, parliament would be like, no, go back to walking. What are you doing? So I think what quadratic voting is starting to do, and I could use my Negro Damus icon on this one, is that as humanity's like moving as fast as it is, and ignorance is something that like can dissolve so fast. Like I can get a college education right now for free. It won't be credentialed, but I can get it through YouTube videos, Coursera, multiple universities open up their library. I can get a college education for free. Won't get credentialed, but I can get it. So ignorance isn't trapped anymore. Different people have access to information, which means that the vertical is the time it takes to go from one point in society to knowing all the things and increasing your value in society is a lot smaller than it used to be. Right?
Nope. 100% no.
You don't think so?
I'll keep going. I'll tell you why.
I think you just need an internet connection. And so people that don't have an internet connection are kind of fucked. And there's laws for going on for that right now in the States, actually trying to get like free internet to people. But I just feel like the people at the top can't be there for that much longer anymore.
I think they can.
You think so?
Yeah. So what you just described is a wonderful ideal, but that requires people understanding and having the willpower to get to that point. Understanding and having the skill set to find the things that push them in the right direction, which is not simple. Like, how do we have a very large swath of the human existence trying to currently feel that the Earth is flat?
How large is it, or is it exactly?
All right. Well, like, would you consider misinformation to be a thing?
Oh, I know it's a thing.
Would you consider it to be useful and effective? Well, not useful. Would you consider it to be effective?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Who's doing it, and what's the underlying motivation? And who's the, like, people don't have the skill set to discern between what is good information and what is bad information anymore. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. Deepfakes are becoming real, whereas like you're not going to be able to discern between anything on the internet being real or not. And that type of situation means that the world you just described of like, I can get a college education for free is very true. But the skill set to get that is not easy to come by. And the skill set and acquiring that skill set is becoming very, very, very difficult. Of how do I find the right information? How do I continue on it? How do I find communities that lead me in the right direction? And how do I avoid the nonsense? That's becoming incredibly difficult. And when we talk about like quadratic voting, we bring this back to quadratic voting. That means that the people who have ridiculous viewpoints within a community are gaining more power and asserting their will more and moving the direction towards what they would like it to be. And now, I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'm not saying like one extreme or the other is the right position. It's somewhere in between. But like, this isn't utopia. This doesn't solve all the issues. It just changes the pendulum on where influence is and who gets to have it.
I didn't say it was utopia. I think utopia is a foolish person's
but like
things.
Giving a bunch of idiots more power is a dangerous thing too.
Do you know?
What do you want?
We just lived through for like the past 6 years, right? Like you
just what?
You were alive during that last 6 years when we had a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah, but that's one idiot and a bunch of people and a bunch of cucks that follow him. Like,
he called y'all cucks.
I'll give a shit it's fine.
He called y'all cucks.
And
cuck.
But it's like. It's a very difficult thing. And this is a problem that we currently face on the internet is the ability to discern between quality and non-quality information and the skill set to get there. Like what the picture there, that's a deep fake. And the video is very realistic. And it's going to get worse. And so like we start thinking about how individuals assert their influence on their communities. This is going to impact that. And the ability of people to make things like spread information that other people consume is going to be very influential, right? Like if you can make people feel something because they don't have the capability of discerning between information, that you basically control them and their will to, and whatever they do to assert their influence on the communities they're in.
So how does this tie into quadratic voting?
Well, it ties into it because they're going to have more power. Like if you end up in a society where like
the tech,
people do quadratic voting, well, however you vote, like if for some reason or another, large communities implement things like quadratic voting, it moves the balance of power from the whales asserting their influence on whoever they want to the individuals who are closer to the individuals asserting what they want.
But you just took a whole swath of time talking about how people are too dumb to like sift through the
not
information
all people,
themselves.
but it's difficult.
I would say majority of people in crypto are too dumb. They just
but what I'm saying is currently we're in a position where misinformation is a problem, and that's done. Like misinformation is literally done by people who are trying to spread a specific narrative and give it to people who cannot discern between the two things.
Not me.
Right?
Sometimes I just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Hashtag not investment advice.
Yeah, that's not you falling for misinformation. That's you just not giving a shit. And if that's the case, if we have two things, one, more power being given to the individual, then you're going to see more the people who are rich, whose votes no longer work, spending more of their value trying to spread misinformation so that the masses who cannot discern things are making decisions that they don't understand. And that's like you have to see that, right? Like that's going to be an issue.
I don't know. I think governing and governance is all very fascinating because it just changes. That or I'm getting older. Like it just organically changes.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit about politics until I hit 35. And I was it's just a light clicked on. It just
switches on. It's like, how do I vote about this street sign right here? It's crooked. I need somebody to know about it. This street sign is gonna get somebody killed out here. I didn't see it from that angle. Fuck, I gotta vote about this. I gotta vote now. Anyways,
I didn't mean to get too political there, but I think it's an important thing to care about.
Yeah. Without getting too political,
but like that crypto,
so there's this idea in sociology of social capital versus like material, basically some sort of material based capital, like monetary. And so what you're saying is they're just essentially, I'm just going to kind of condense soup it, what you guys were just talking about. So essentially you're saying if they're not able to win the voting game by dumping enough money into the system to vote their way to being true, they'll use an alternate method of usurping communication routes.
Absolutely.
by using misinformation. So that they won't play the game because they can't win the game by money.
They won't use that avenue. Like they like if you think about value and money being a proxy for power, then any individual who would like to get something done within a community is going to use that power, whatever power they have or value they have, to get that thing done. If it can't be done through voting, then they use it a different way. They won't vote. Or they'll maximize what they can with the vote and then spend the rest of it making sure that other people vote the same way. And that's usually done through education or misinformation or whatever. Like it's spreading information so that people believe the idea of what you're trying to do and follow suit. And there's a lot of different names depending upon the motivation of what you're doing for that type of thing. And that's what's going to end up happening if that balance of power is disrupted in some way, shape, or form.
People always try to find a way to break the rules of a game. Games have written rules and unwritten rules. And the more power you have playing that game, the more unwritten rules you get to use. And that's just the way it is. Or sometimes written rules. Like if you just that's kind of what it is. Like the Koch brothers. You guys know the Koch brothers, right?
You're doing that on purpose.
Doing what?
There's no way.
Koch, the Koch brothers. Anyways,
all right.
So these to you guys. And that's their nickname, right?
That could be your nickname for them.
Well, nevertheless, there's these two guys in the U.S. They're called the Koch brothers, and they give just a crazy several lifetimes worth amount of money to the political candidate that they like the most every time, in order to give that political candidate enough money to run ads all throughout the country to get what they want so they can pay less taxes. That's pretty much all it really kind of boils down to. And that's a rule. That sucks. Even if you put together 3 of our lifetimes worth of money, Corey, Jessie, and myself, I don't think that it would equate to the amount of money they put up every 2 years for the candidates of choice that they want, right?
So far, no, not even close.
Yeah, like these guys, these two Kochs put so much on the table.
I can't. I can't.
What are you talking about?
You think it adds like what layer are we on if I don't even like smile at that? Like what layer of comedy is that?
I don't know. I'm trying to.
Is that like
I'm trying to.
layer?
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
So if in the crypto world,
can't do it.
In the crypto
really
world,
difficult.
let's say that Jessie, Corey, and myself we're going to make a crypto, and we're the Kochs, 3 Koch brothers, and we own like 90% of. Like this goes back to the very same example. We'll just be 3 Kochs with all the money, shitting on everyone else, you know. And
yeah, so, but like in terms of the crypto, right? If we're gonna say that example, then our community wouldn't stand for it. Like they just leave because they don't.
We would convince them, right? We would use alternate methods of communication.
Well, like
persuasion.
we've built a community that's somewhat resistant to that. I think so. Like for in our scenario, that wouldn't work very well because if people don't like what we have to say and there's value associated with it, they just leave.
Yeah,
there's no reason for them to stay.
I think enough of the community, or at least a lot of people who talk, they actually go deeper than just reading headlines, and they're actually technical, and that allows them to.
That's a part of what we tried to build. We tried to build a community that was resistant to that type of thing, where like we just say whatever we want. And they're like, "Thank you, God, I'm going to go do that thing." They're like, "That's stupid. I'm not doing that. Tell me why." Like, like there's the what's the word I'm looking for? The resistance to bullshit is really, really high in the Bitcoin podcast community. Like we've seen people come in to the Slack and shill something
and reject it.
I didn't touch it. Like none of us as like, you know, the administrators of the Slack touched it. They got rejected immediately.
Yeah. That's actually a cool thing to speak on. Like if you're going to have a voice in the Bitcoin podcast Slack community, it's like entering the Earth's atmosphere. You got to go at the right angle and the right speed, because if you come in with some bullshit, you're going to explode or you're going to get rejected out into space real fast.
That was fun to watch though. And that came from like, I don't know, being normal, like not being shilly.
So let's tie this full circle all the way into distribution and how it affects the community. Right. And it affects these communities, these crypto communities by governance. And that's really the main thing. If you got a governance token and you don't read through the documentation and come to find out 90% of it is in one wallet, you're like, the very next question should be like, who the fuck or what the fuck owns that wallet?
Cough, hex, cough.
Right. So,
hey, Joe is having a great time with Hex.
I know
he's not. I don't think that he is. I think that he loves the numbers on his screen, but I don't think it does anything for him. I really don't. Like I have a friend.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right?
Maybe that is all that matters. I have a friend from undergrad who loves Hex. Like, and I was like, man, it's very typical that you would like Hex. I get that. And so he's just like, every week he's bombarding me with headlines about Hex and like Hex is so great and look at this. And then in 3 weeks, I'm going to get the chemical compound formula is going to unlock nothing for me, but the numbers are going to go up. Like, and I'm just like, wait, what is happening here? What? And like, have you, so my question to him is always like, well, how much actual real value have you made? Like in Ether and Bitcoin and dollars and silver? I don't know. Like, has this changed your life in any way? He's like, well, no, but the number's up there, man. It's going up. It's going up. And I'm just, I don't understand. It's like Steam. It was like you had all this Steam.
Steam had legitimacy behind it. It did. I mean, it was a similar situation where there were a tremendous amount of whales and they had an asymmetrical influence on the community, right? The small amount of people having a very large influence on the community, especially for voting and any type of like any ability for anyone to make money required you to cater to what the whales liked. And that eventually left because Dan Larimer makes projects, makes a bunch of money, and then leaves them. Hex is different in a lot of ways because I'm not sure if people have actually like been able to take money out. I assume they have because it's continued to keep going. But in the day, there's an overwhelming asymmetric amount of power in the ecosystem. It just hasn't been influenced yet. It's like if everyone knew, this is kind of a bad example, but like if for some reason Satoshi showed up and unlocked all those coins, and then no one even considered it. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool now," but we're not even going to pretend all of those coins are in existence right now. We're just going to pretend that they're not there, and nothing's going to change. It's not a very good analogy because it wasn't designed that way. The economics of Bitcoin were designed like reasonably efficient in terms of distribution of wealth. This is not. This was designed to funnel money to one person as fast as possible.
My quadratic vote goes to the statement that Steemit foundations are legit. Ooh, burn.
I never participated in Steemit. I saw
it. It was great. I think it was a successful project. I think it was a successful project.
Dude, we have a Steemit.
Yeah, we do.
And we posted on it. There's money in it.
Probably. I don't know what it's worth anymore, but we certainly have Steam as a part of the podcast.
Oh, I need to look at that account. Holy shit, man.
I got it locked away. I got all the passwords and stuff.
Fucking hilarious. I forgot all about that.
Well, let's go to the interview. It's been a while. And then
we'll put that up after the interview.
And then we'll close it out.
Alberto, so like let's get to like let's try and like let's go deep here.
All right.
Let's go deep. We're not fracking here. We're going straight down.
Okay.
Like, what's the why for ForceDao? Like, what makes this DAO uniquely different than other DAOs? Why did you see there's a need for it? Like, you sat down for a while. You say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build ForceDao. This is why. This. There's nothing like it, and this is what it's closing this gap.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been refining that answer over time, but I mean, originally I saw a bunch of problems in the space. I'm not going to bash on any project, but a lot of the yield aggregators that existed, last year or in recent months, because the space evolved so quickly, they had a pretty interesting incentivization problem where their developers weren't getting paid a performance fee, or some of them, would go to other DAOs to work because the performance fees are better, or they're just better incentives overall. Some projects had to mint. I think one project had to mint additional tokens in order to pay for their developers. And in general, I think there's a way of organizing an organization of smart people who are building these investment strategies in such a way where they can get rewarded pro rata for their contribution to the project. And that was one of the problems that I saw originally. So just pure incentives. And I also saw that aggregators, so just investment strategy aggregators, they work at its core like a two-sided market. From one side, you got the strategists who are providing investment strategies, and then the other side, you got the buy side, which is investors who want to receive a certain amount of yield or an alpha on their investment. And this is the way the market's behaving, just purely on observation. This is just how it's behaving. And it seems like some of the aggregators in the space have done this in a hobbyist way, where it's, the world's best talent are doing this investment strategy thing as a hobby. But I did see the opportunity to productize it. And I still think it needs to be productized for the space to evolve. So I wouldn't say it's for selfish reasons. Obviously, there's self-interest. I'm 100% self-interested in this. But I also believe that my self-interest in this, as well as the self-interest of other people coming in, is creating a common benefit. It's kind of like the invisible hand that Adam Smith talks about. So anyways, to just cut it short, I think the opportunity here is to create an organization that incentivizes people the right way to create investment strategies on one side, and then the other side, you have to have a UI and a UX that's perfect for bringing people who are not familiar with DeFi to start earning the incredible yields and alphas that exist in the space. And that's what ForceDao is basically. It's a platform that's building these two things.
The immediate question from me is going to be, how do you define good, right? So you talk about you're clearly intimately involved with crypto economics and this concept of kind of game theory versus mechanism design. Like how you build the rules dictates what you deem as good and bad. And the goal is to build the rules in such a way where you were like natural behavior, whether that be greedy behavior, selfish behavior, altruistic behavior, whatever, trends toward what you consider good. So what are you doing there? Like with ForceDao, that's differentiated in terms of setting, like aligning those incentives properly.
Yeah, that's a good question. So for strategies specifically, if you're a person, so let's talk about strategies for a second. So strategies currently in DeFi, the way they work is based on farming. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term. Sort of. Okay.
there is a thriving DeFi community in Bitcoin podcast Slack that never ever stops.
Mm-hmm. Okay, beautiful. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
We're back.
We hope that you guys enjoy the actual whole interview. That's a good one, man. ForceDao is coming around the corner, so look into it. That was a really good interview. I enjoy the gamification of investment strategies very much because
you like DeFi?
I do.
That's what it is. Like DeFi is like a experiment of taking traditional finance and putting it on blockchain and seeing what you can automate away or like distribute how things get done. Like we're pooling information. Like if I had to like try and sum up what DeFi is, it's pooling a community's value and then them voting on how it goes.
What was that? Dogs? That's dogs. DeFi, in my opinion, like I think we've heard this a lot, and some people probably have already said this, and maybe other people say it on other shows. I don't know, but we've been clamoring for a use case for 8 to 9 years for cryptocurrency, and it's DeFi. DeFi is the use case. As soon as one of these
yes.
No, when I say I mean the one that like people nut over, and it makes it a
disagree.
thing. And
I like NFTs more than DeFi.
I disagree.
We'll disagree if you want to. It's a free country. It's a free country. Disagree if you want to. But I think that there's a large enough swath of people that when one crypto goes down in price, and they'll see it as an opportunity to get into DeFi. So the more fiat on-ramps there are, and a more diverse set of tokens, that's just more and more opportunity for people to get into DeFi, baby. So like if Bitcoin's price is too high, but Ethereum's in the right spot, a bunch of fiat's going to pour into Ethereum. That Ethereum is going to start launching DeFi contracts, baby. We in there. If Litecoin can do it, I don't think it can, but maybe it can. I don't know what's going on with Litecoin these days. People are worshiping Charlie Lee 5 hours a day and then existing, I guess. That's the Litecoin community now. Then, it doesn't matter. The more fiat on-ramps there are, the more fiat exposure is going to get to crypto. And I think DeFi is going to be the big one for that, especially as soon as some of these like finance companies start to realize they can code out entire departments.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not going to be huge. It'll be huge. Like you're going to see a massive inflow of the same shit, but amplified using this technology. I'm saying it's not much different. It's the same underlying motivations. It is a bit more inclusive, and you can do interesting things that you couldn't do in traditional finance, but it's still finance. I think there's a lot of other applications that have yet to be seen, NFTs being a foundation for a lot of it, but there's a lot of other stuff too. And like I can't say it enough. There's going to be a larger focus on community, like what communities you belong to and what rules govern it, and how the underlying crypto, whether it be cryptocurrencies like fungible tokens or NFTs associated with that community, dictate your influence in that community and what you can do. Like that's it. That's the encapsulated power of this technology. It allows you to make communities and then come up with a lot of different interesting rules and how you assert your influence and participate in that community. And all of that influence and participation has direct consequences on your life. It's value driven. I can take that value based on the work and effort that I put in that community, and I can pay my bills with it. Or I can take it out and bring it to a different community. And there's a lot of cool shit you can do that I think it just hasn't been unlocked or understood yet. And what we're seeing now is like, I don't know, like the primitives of that. People are bringing finance in. But that's just an aspect of it. People are playing around with NFTs and seeing what's going on over there. That's just a part of it. When you like really, really tie it back to like what you can do in a community and how you assert your influence and how you pay your bills and run your life. And that becomes the focus. Then people are like, oh shit, this stuff is like useful. And it's changed a lot of people's lives and like socially, like made a drastic social change on the world and like what you spend your time doing and what you focus on and what you try and do relative to the people you communicate with. Like that's all of it. This is just like people having fun and doing the shit they already know how to do.
Well, let's take a few minutes to look at some comments from the audience, and then let's wrap.
Yep.
Wilbert Rutherford says the Bitcoin stock to flow model of Plan B is showing 100,000. I'm sorry, Alicia, do your thing. My bad. The Bitcoin stock to flow model of Plan B is showing 100K, 288K Bitcoin price end of the year. Spread the word. Thanks, Wilbert.
Where does that come from? I don't understand.
That's coming from YouTube. People are leaving comments.
Yeah, I get that. What does that mean? Like, what is the stock to flow model of Plan B?
Oh shit! You haven't seen the stock to flow model, the one that makes Bitcoin people.
You have not seen that?
You've seen it. You just don't.
I'm sure I've seen it. I just didn't know the name for it.
I'll bring it up here so you can.
And once again, like, why should we give a shit about that particular prediction?
There's many reasons.
Sure, I would like to know them, and I'm sure our audience would too.
I used to care about this model, but I don't too much anymore. Here, let me see.
The model describes.
It sounds sexy. It sounds like something I should see in like a Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah, there's different articles that I've read.
Yo, have you seen the stock to flow model?
Family. Here we go. There it is. That's it, Corey. That's the stock to flow model.
That's like, no one can see that. Can you blow that up?
You can't see that?
That's not the live one. There's a better one that's live.
That's better. That's better. We can see that.
There's a live one. Jesse probably could find it faster than
I can. Go to that website.
That's good enough. That's fine. That's good enough. Let's see that. So this is about looking at halvenings and looking at the relative price movement over the course of the Bitcoin halvenings. So this is only about Bitcoin. So BTC macro will not correlate forever. I don't know if it's saying like this is not something you should keep in your mind forever, but it's been pretty trendy about it for a while now. At least with like last halvening, you're seeing quite a bit of a lag. Oh no, the last two halvenings, you're seeing quite a bit of a lag from rising to the price and the halvening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a model and it seems to be fairly accurate, and people lose their giblies over it because look, right now we're looking here in the red.
So what is the purple line?
The purple line is the stock to flow on a 10-day run. The green line is stock to flow.
Can you explain what the stock to flow is? I don't know what that like.
Honestly, I don't know if I can at this point. I think it's like a model that you use in traditional finance. Honestly, I'm not. Let's just
Google
look.
It has to do
it.
with like mining, right? It has
The
to do with
stock to flow is a number that shows
amount of
how many.
Bitcoin.
Hold, I got it right here. The stock to flow is a number that shows how many years at the current production rate are required to achieve the current stock. The higher the number, the higher the price. Stock divided by flow. So what do you mean by stock?
Stock is probably available currency. Flow is the
amount,
income,
the volume,
the inflation of that currency.
Just I think it's the block
movement
rewards,
or volume,
block rewards, right?
Oh
the
shit!
Flow.
Here's something. Stock to flow 10 days. Purple line indicating what is the model price in selected currency. It has already been said that the stock to flow is a relationship between total stock against yearly production. In this 10-day line, we take a production in 10 days, divided by the 10, and then multiply by 365. Okay, to get the estimated yearly production and this calculate stock to flow. You might ask yourself, why is this line? Why this line is not more flat? This is just because time between blocks is 10 minutes. Only in ideal cases, sometimes it's less and sometimes more. So that's kind of stock to flow.
An ideal situation in one day, there should be 144 blocks mined. So like I said, it's the block reward. That's the flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
it's
the
going to be
block
going
reward-
down, right? So as the flow goes down, stock to flow goes up. So that's why you get like a prediction. It's one of the aspects of this. Yeah. It's like
So
it has to do with
yeah.
gold. It's like when the gold stopped flowing, essentially, the value of gold increased even faster because you had less supply.
So some more comments about coming from out here. Oop, we got Wayne. Stock to flow shows how much supply enters the market relative to total supply. I was telling us all these things.
Okay.
So Corey, this is why Bitcoiners just get so overconfident because they look at this model. I don't know.
So like this is like Wayne's saying here. This is important. Like Bitcoin is unique, or like was the first in terms of giving you the ability to predict this with a very high degree of accuracy for all future. So you know the total supply and you know the flow for all time to a very high degree of accuracy, because the only variable here mostly is block time, which is dependent upon hash rate. It's not exactly 10 minutes because hashing is probabilistic.
Yeah.
So like,
but
that's a very important thing. And because of that, investors are able to make much more accurate predictions on, like when they look at like volume, current pricing, how they value things. Like that's not much of a variable. Whereas previously you had like that was a much larger variable you had to take into account. So you've removed a variable from your ability to predict things if you're looking at it from a traditional finance perspective.
Yeah. If you're really looking at chicken bones and looking at stuff, like these spikes are getting smaller. Right. So what's the next one going to look like? Just a flat line, like right here at 100, and that's just where we stay forever. Like I don't know. That's if you're looking for chicken bones.
So the original comment from Wilbert was that this predicts a price of Bitcoin going from in between 100K to 288K by the end of the year. Now, and if we look from historical reference, we seem to see a reasonable degree of accuracy with price and the stock to flow model, like following it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. So we all learned something together. Corey learned what stock to flow. Well, I learned what stock to flow is. I've seen this model for years now, and I usually look at it right before bed with some jerkins and a towel. And
I actually don't have that much Bitcoin, despite owning the Bitcoin podcast. I don't own that much Bitcoin. I have in the past, but I don't. I have enough.
It's the smallest, like percentage wise, in my portfolio. I'm not gonna lie. It's just
smallest. No, but
oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. That was rude, audience. That was rude.
Yeah,
I'm yawning. You're yawning, and you're driving, so be careful. Or if you're
let's wrap it up. You're yawning. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So, thank you for listening to another week of the Bitcoin podcast. This is episode number 345. Go ahead and check out ForceDao. Just do like he said in the interview. Google ForceDao, DAO, Distributed Autonomous Organization. There's an airdrop that you're probably too late on. Sorry, but
No, we're getting this out in time.
Okay.
I think we're getting out in time to learn about what they're going to be doing. That's kind of the point.
Yeah. So go ahead and join, become a patron. You can, you can support us. We could make us better. We can higher production value. We can, get better video cards that really mute Corey's dogs. Like, we can do all kinds of stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. We can get, I don't know, Jessie, you must pay an arm and a leg for hair care products with just luxurious hair like that. So Jessie might need some more.
Dude, he uses regular ass like
Maybelline.
Does just like Vidal has
soap.
Bar soap. Yeah. Bar soap all over the body. That's the guy way, right? Like
maybe he's born with it. Let's see. Please join the Slack. Go to thebitcoinpodcast.com and join the Slack. You could scan this QR code here and you could subscribe to the Bitcoin podcast if you want. Boom. You can pause it. You can scan it. You can do what you need to do with it, but do like it says, scan me, scan that right there. Pull out your smartphone, look at it with the camera.
Or if you're watching this, just like push the button right below you. So that's good too.
No, we want you to
that also works too. Like you just click the button you're already on, so that also works.
We're gonna do it the hard way. Take out your phone, go to the camera app, scan it. If your phone can't do that, it's really old or a flip phone. In that case, I apologize. Please just go to YouTube and subscribe to us. And in that Slack is where you can join a network of individuals that will give you not access. Like when I say access, it's not like you're getting like the keys to the crypto kingdom, but you'll get people that work in crypto, are highly, highly technical. Can answer questions, take the time to answer questions, so long as you're not a shit poster.
We won't shill anything. We don't shill really. There's not. I mean, there are some people that shill. There's some people that shill, but it's like, I would say no one is shilling anything unreasonable.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable.
Based on if you trust our judgment and you feel as though we're reasonable, we don't allow what we would consider unreasonable things to be shilled in Slack. So and shill, I think shill is the bad word. People are like passionate about the projects they're in. And if there happens to be a project that's that we deem as garbage, we don't really like.
Yeah, we're not going to put
you're going to need to let's put it this way. You're going to need to defend it because it's going to get there's going to be criticism and questions if you bring something to the table, and if you're not able to defend it, you're going to get kicked out. So there needs to be, if there is an ability to defend it, then we'll say, cool, let's look into it, and we'd like to learn more. I think that's the differentiator, right? Like if it doesn't stand up to scrutiny, then it will not pass the sniff test for the community.
He hit the nail on the head right there. We sniff out the bullshit. All right, so
that face right there is what happens.
Clip it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can go to that app. You can subscribe. Please leave us a 5-star review. It helps us help you. People will be like, "Hey, man, I really like this show. You should listen to it too." And then somebody was like, "You know what? I'm gonna take that advice." They push the play button, and now we're bringing joy into their life too. So that's what you should do. Give us a 5-star rating. If you want to give us a 4-star rating, you can go fuck yourself. We're dead serious with that. Shout outs. Shout out to Meg the Stallion, baby. Keep doing your thing. She got a Grammy for shaking that ass. A Grammy, bro. Who shakes their ass to a Grammy? Meg the Stallion does. Look at that. Look at that. She literally got a Grammy for shaking ass because her songs are terrible. So it's amazing. It's amazing to me. Shout out.
What do you think about Doja Cat?
I think she is very bad at being a musician, but very good at being a character for the internet and looking. She is an attractive lady. These are facts. I can't deny that. But as far as her musicianship, bag of garbage. Big old bag of shit.
Damn.
Yeah, not very good at all. Yeah.
Just curious.
It's not her fault though. She does pop music. Pop music by definition is garbage. But
hey, Bruno Mars is not garbage.
It's catchy, but it's not.
Bruno Mars isn't garbage, and he makes
Bruno
pop
Mars
music.
is not garbage. Well, he makes R&B kind of like. What is pop?
Funk. That's R&B funk pop.
R&B funk pop.
He's a definition of pop.
He's the definition of popular.
Pretty poppy.
He's the fucking man. All right. Shout out to I don't know who I shout out to next. So just
There's no icon. Line.
There we go.
Doja Cat.
I have to do it. Shout out to Doja Cat. You do you, girl. You're putting it out there. Shout out to Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's stepdaughter, but looks enough like Steve Harvey that it's weird that it's just a stepdaughter. And then Michael B. Jordan. What? I mean, it's weird if you're like she's not biologically related to him, but looks like she could be. Michael B. Jordan for locking down Lori Harvey
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, if you saw the previous picture, the man probably put on his. I mean, he was coming at her. He wasn't coming at her like Pepe Le Pew. He was laying it down. He was like, "Girl, look, let's just put the facts. I was in Creed. I was in Creed 2. I was in Black Panther. My name is Michael B. Jordan. Look at my chest. We're dating now." And she was probably like, "Fair enough." A shout out to, of course, Michelle Obama, for paving the way for being the flyest first lady of all time. Jeez, man, look how well dressed she is in that picture.
That is a really cool outfit.
It blows my mind. Blows my mind. Before her, it was Eleanor. Eleanor Roosevelt bringing in the fashion. But no, Michelle. What are you
wait.
Are y'all doing extreme close-ups?
Yeah, you want to join us?
Y'all are ridiculous. No, because I don't want my computer to shock. Oh, and shout out to old girl from Black Panther doing her thing. Look at her go.
Still don't know her name. Cool.
Yeah. What is it, Jessica? I don't know her name, but shout out to her from Black Panther and that movie, that Key from Key and Peele or Peele. Is it Key?
Get Out?
Yeah, no, she wasn't in Get Out. She was in the other one, the second one that he made.
What was the other one? That was a good one.
Among Us? I think it's Among Us.
That's a game. It's a video game.
Among Us was a great game.
Among Us is a game.
It still is a game. You can still play it.
Hold up. Maybe somebody said it in the chat.
Us? It's just called Us.
There we go.
So you halfway said it.
So is there anything else we need to do? Like, subscribe. Oh, wide face Zoe out there. Shout out to you, Zoe Saldana, rocking them wide smiles, making everybody see those teeth. We love it, boo. We love you, boo. We do.
Let's rock and roll.
Wait, did we do a commercial again? Because this is really funny. Or should we just cut to the out? Are you working in a job that sucks balls? Does your job suck and ergo your life? Do you want to change that because your life is sucking? Join the TBP Slack. Get a better job.
That chick playing with the chimes is the best.
That will always be funny, dude. That will always.
Does your life suck?
Balls.
Make more of those. Give the people what they want. I'm the people.
All right. Should I make another one? Should I make one for ForceDao? See if I can
just
do it.
Make whatever you want. Do whatever you want. We'll play it.
Let me see if I can do so with the Force.
You're trying to jingle. You're gonna bring back the jingle for ForceDao.
I don't have the jingle flow in me right now. I think.
All right. Well, then we'll do it another time.
Yeah, we'll do it some other time.
When they give us a bunch of money.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. We would be terrible. Play the outro. Oh no!